Welcome back to Manta XP, or welcome if it's your first time here. Please do consider subscribing. Today, we're going to talk about the recent reports of possible PlayStation handheld system, not a PlayStation Portal, which we already have, a dedicated handheld system. And now we know Nintendo is the leader when it comes to this, but with these new handheld PCs, Xbox, doing different deals and things like that with the ROG Ally and other devices, but also talking about possibly putting out a handheld of their own. It seems like handhelds are the way of the future, especially in gaming and entertainment in general. Is just the way it has to go. You can't be locked to one screen or sitting down on a couch on your TV. So we're going to talk about all of that today in this video. Talk about what PlayStation might do, what they possibly could be working on, how it'll work in the grand scheme of their ecosystem and the next generation. So like I said, if you are new, please consider subscribing. Let's get right into this topic. So PlayStation is celebrating its 30th anniversary this year. And of course, we got the new PlayStation 5 Pro. We also got special 30th anniversary edition controllers, DualSense, Dual Edge, also the PlayStation Slim and PS Pro, but as well as the PlayStation Portal. So Sony's pretty much gearing up when it comes to different types of devices and hardware and things like that. So according to an article from Bloomberg, this is actually from The Verge, because Bloomberg, I was not trying to pay them any money, but from The Verge, it says Sony is currently making a new handheld gaming console that allows users to play PlayStation 5 games anywhere. According to Bloomberg, the console is being developed to compete against Nintendo and Microsoft in the portable gaming market and is likely years away from launch. So it's really interesting that we get this report coming out, honestly, just a few days or a week after we got the report and the advertisement from Xbox talking about, that this is an Xbox kind of putting their games everywhere, and PlayStation trying to head more into that PC market, right? We're seeing games being on PC a lot quicker within a year or 18 months. Some games like Helldivers 2 coming out, day and date. And to be honest, no one should be surprised by these reports, right? So when it comes to the handheld market, the Switch has pretty much turned it on its head. Nintendo's always been the king of handhelds when it came with the Game Boy, the Nintendo DS, 3DS, things like that. But then when the Wii U generation came around, and even with the 3DS, they figured like, hey, we're suffering, we're losing sales because we're spending too much time and money and efforts developing for two different consoles. Like, you can't just throw something from the 3DS on the Wii U. Same thing if you had a dedicated, like, the games that are coming out for the handhelds are specifically made for the handhelds. It's not like, oh, I'm playing God of War Ragnarok on my PS5, now I'm gonna play it on my PlayStation Portal like you can now. That's not the way handhelds originally were considered to be made. But then Nintendo said, hey, we're going to make a hybrid system where we're just getting rid of handhelds separately. We're going to combine it into one console. And now that's where my kind of concern comes in with this. Now, Sony isn't, strangers when it comes to making handheld systems. To be honest, Xbox is the only one of the big three that actually has no experience making their own dedicated handheld devices. Now, we know Sony had the PSP back in the day, and they also had the PlayStation Vita around 10 years ago. And the next part of this article says Sony's efforts would not be left behind would build on the PlayStation Portal. So the 8-inch gaming device it released last year that wirelessly streams PS5 games from cloud, but it would be, according to Bloomberg, it was originally meant to function as a standalone device. The new device would allow games to be played natively rather than over Wi-Fi, potentially expanding Sony's audience and making its games more accessible. And that is the main difference when it comes between, having a dedicated device that's native versus a cloud streaming device. It also comes into, pricing when you talk about those things, right? So when it comes with the PlayStation Portal, right now it's $199 or $200, but it just streams games that you own already and streams from your PlayStation 5. Now, a recent update came out where you can just stream from the cloud and you don't necessarily have to be tethered to your PlayStation 5. So people that don't necessarily own a PlayStation 5 can buy a Portal, just buy the games, an online subscription, PlayStation Plus Premium, and they'll be able to play the games. But again, it's not a native experience. Then my main concern when it comes to that is, yes, we want things to be native, but then it's like where Nintendo kind of has Xbox and PlayStation B when it comes to this is price point, as well as not needing it being a secondary device. When you think about the ROG Ally, the Steam Deck, or well, I want to say the Steam Deck. They're kind of their own thing because they have the Steam library. But when you think of the ROG Ally, the PlayStation Portal, these other games, you're playing other games on the device. It's more about, hey, I own these games elsewhere and now I want to play them more conveniently on a handheld system. But when it comes to Nintendo Switch, that is the system and it's dockable. So now when you go with Sony and Microsoft, if they're putting their games natively on there, there's no slot for physical games. That's one, downside. I know some people may not care about that, but let's say you own the game physically on PS5, I can't play it on this system. If I have a Switch and I just put it in the dock, if I have a physical game cart, I can put it in whether I'm putting it in handheld or it's on the dock system. When it comes to PlayStation 5 or PSP3 or whatever they're going to call it, like there's no way to do that physically. The other side of that is it can't be as cheap as the PlayStation Portal, which is $200. We're seeing the cost of these systems and what like it takes to run these games. Like when we're talking about the Steam Deck and ROG Ally and all these things, these are 600, 700, even 800 or more dollars, because they're running way more graphic intensive, high fidelity frame rate games. Battery life isn't that great and things like that. So that's something to consider. Would you actually buy this, spend that much money to play PlayStation 5 games if you can't also play them on your TV? Or it's kind of like you're choosing, half. Do I want to play it portably only or do I want to play it on the couch only? Like, I highly doubt they're going to make dedicated games for these handhelds, Xbox included, and I don't recommend that they do necessarily, but it is something to think about. It's just kind of a new way to play the game instead of playing it on the TV. Now, the article says it is years away, which is what Microsoft said, so we may not see it until, let's say, 2027, which is where we're projecting that the new generation for Sony will start. And it'll be kind of interesting. I know we're kind of getting away from generations as a whole, the traditional everyone release at the same time kind of thing, but we know Nintendo's going to release their new console next year, so that's 2025. Xbox is seeming like they're going to release in 2026. Will the handheld come out during that time? Maybe not immediately, maybe a few months after or a year after, who knows? And then Sony in 2027. So they're more spread out than normal, but they're still in the same, 2-year span kind of. So it'll be interesting to see. I think Sony is, as everyone's been saying, becoming more like Apple, where they're going to have multiple devices. You're going to have your PlayStation 5 Pro for the enthusiasts. You're going to have your slim model or your regular base model. You're going to have the Portal if you want to. You have your Edge controller for the more, people that want super customizable buttons and things like that. So it'll be interesting. We'll have to see. I personally think enthusiasts will buy it, but I think it's good also for people that maybe you're willing to spend the money, but maybe you just don't want a whole console in your house, or maybe if they could get the price to like $400 versus spending $500 or $530 or whatever on a full-on PS5. It's like, hey, I got my Switch, I got my PS5, maybe I got a Steam Deck or something like that, and I'm good to go. I'm gonna just be a handheld person, or maybe I got a PC, and that's where I do most of my console gaming, even though it's not really a console, but big screen gaming, and then I have the handheld. So we'll just have to, see how that shakes out. But I think this next generation is going to be very interesting. I think it's smart. Everybody's getting a handheld market, and that is going to be the future. Handheld, cloud streaming. What Sony really needs to get down, and I know they don't want to because they want to make all their money, is what Xbox does with the Play Anywhere. It's not every game, but they need to figure out a way for that, because if I buy games physically on my PS5 and then I can't play it because I gotta buy it digitally, and then there's no physical version on the handheld, but I gotta buy it digitally twice, or however that's gonna work. I don't know. I mean, I'd assume that with the cloud streaming, you would just go into your account, log in, and it plays it natively, so you should be good, but who knows? I think when it comes to like the PC side of it, they need to figure that out. I know it's technically leaving money on the table, but that does deter a lot of people. So, but those are my thoughts on it. You guys let me know. Would you buy this PlayStation, dedicated handheld Do you own a PS5 already? Does that kind of sway your opinion on it? Would you just buy it just because you want to be able to play PlayStation games at a lower price point? You guys let me know in the comment section below. Again, check out all my recent videos. Check out my future videos by hitting that subscribe button and hitting that notification bell so you don't miss any uploads that I do. Leave a like on this, and I'll catch you on the next video.